Joining us via the internet here at our service of worship at Piedmont Presbyterian Church. Today, our Old Testament lesson comes from the book of Psalms, Psalm number 23, that very, very familiar psalm of David that we know the words to from the time we are little. I'm going to read it to you in a different translation. The words are not the old familiar King James Version, nor are they the New Revised Standard. It's somewhere in between. This translation actually comes from the New Jerusalem Bible. Psalm 23. Yahweh is my shepherd. I lack nothing. In grassy meadows he lets me lie. By tranquil streams he leads me to restore my spirit. He guides me in paths of saving justice as befits his name. Even if I were to walk in a ravine as dark as death, I should fear no danger, for you are at my side. Your staff and your crook are there to soothe me. You prepare a table for me under the eyes of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup brims over. Kindness and faithful love will pursue me every single day of my life. And I will make my home in the house of Yahweh for all time to come. And then from the 10th chapter of the Gospel of John, verses 11 through 18, these words from Jesus. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. The hired man, since he is not the shepherd, and the sheep do not belong to him, abandons the sheep as soon as he sees a wolf coming and runs away, and then the wolf attacks and scatters the sheep. He runs away because he is only a hired man and has no concern for the sheep. But I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for my sheep. There are other sheep that I have that are not of this fold, and I must lead them too. They too will listen to my voice, and there will be only one flock, one shepherd. The Father loves me because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me. I lay it down of my own free will. And as I have the power to lay it down, so I have the power to take it up again. And this is the command that I have received from my Father. May the Lord add his blessing to this reading of his holy word. And may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in God's sight. For God truly is our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. These are truly familiar words to any of us who have been in the church for any length of time. The 23rd Psalm, with its comforting phrases and its promise of leading and guiding, even in the midst of the darkness in life. And John's words of hope that Jesus has conveyed to the disciples and to us. I am the good shepherd. I lay down my life for my sheep. We are familiar with these words, but how familiar are we truly with the lifestyle that brought these words out in biblical times? These days, more people, of course, live in suburbs of big cities than they do on farms. And especially here on the East Coast, there are not a lot of sheep ranches. So not many of us really intimately know what sheep are like, or what shepherds truly are like. So I want to tell you about Tom, a real live shepherd who herds sheep in West Texas. Tom is a shepherd, along with his dog named Shep. Every day, Tom and Shep are with the sheep. Every single day. Tom doesn't take time off from the sheep to go out to dinner or to go to a movie. I don't think Tom even leaves on Sunday to go to church. Maybe he holds his own services for them. I don't know. But I do know that he stays with his sheep. Tom's father, you see, bought these sheep, the sires of these sheep, many years ago. And Tom now treats them just like family. And he seems to enjoy their company. Once somebody told Tom that God created sheep in order to make chickens look smart, but Tom did not laugh at all. Tom knows that the sheep are not smart enough for a game of fetch or a frisbee toss like Shep is. Nevertheless, sheep can usually figure out where the food and water are. That's pretty smart. On the other hand, Tom also knows that if he does not keep them moving, the sheep will overgraze a pasture. So every day, Tom and Shep stay with them and lead them on to more and greener and more lush pastures. In order to encourage these sheep to move on, Tom cannot go charging out in front of them, waving his staff and shouting orders at them. Here, sheep, come on this way. That doesn't work. He can't just call to them and ask them to follow him. If he were to try to lead the sheep this way, they would probably be pretty spooked and they would just run in the opposite direction. So Tom doesn't shout to his sheep about anything. Sometimes he talks to himself, and the sheep probably overhear his voice. Sometimes he may speak to them in the same way that we speak to babies or tiny pets in baby talk, never really expecting them to totally understand, but just to love the sound of our voice. Sometimes Tom sings to the sheep because he likes to sing and because they seem to be calmed by his singing, but he never raises his voice. He never gets angry with them. And so they stick close by him, not because of his authority, but because they trust his voice. While the sheep probably could not distinguish Tom's face from that of any other person, that doesn't mean that they're stupid. The truth is, they seldom see Tom's face, for Tom is usually not out in front of them, but he is behind them, encouraging them. They know his voice, and they move along and are reassured as he sings along behind them. He encourages those who are straggling. He assists those who are injured or sick, directs those who cannot find their food, and helps the old and the lame. Sheep have pretty good instincts, and with a good shepherd, they are able to manage pretty well. But they do need someone to watch over them and to lead them. And they have learned to trust this shepherd, because Tom is with them every day, and they know his voice as he leads them from behind. I doubt if the sheep are aware of how Tom works to keep them from danger. He makes the wilderness be secure and safe for them. He guides them around treacherous places and unsafe ground to green grass and fresh water. He will not permit the wildlife of the hill country to threaten his sheep. He defends them from any predators, wolves or coyotes that may come around. He's always on the lookout because sheep are pretty vulnerable creatures. Once in a while, Tom has been ill or had a family emergency, and he's had to hire someone to take his place to look after his sheep. But the hired hands always want time off, and at the slightest danger, they will abandon the sheep and run. The sheep seem to know that hired hands value their own safety more than the lives of the sheep. They know the difference and seldom will trust someone new. That is why, day after day, over rocks and crevices, shadows and storms, Tom sticks with them. Tom leads them through. most of the time from behind. The Bible tells us that the Lord is our shepherd, which makes me wonder, does this mean that the Lord is like Tom? I hope it means that he refuses to laugh when the angels tell jokes about how stupid we are. I hope it means that the Lord doesn't wring his hands over us, but is content to be with us, even though regularly we do stupid things, like wandering off in the wrong direction. I know that like a shepherd, Jesus picks us up when we fall. He mends our broken spirits. He sings to us to comfort our hearts, feeds our famished lives, supports us when we limp, and takes care of us like the good shepherd that he is. Of course, if we look for Jesus to be out in front of us, showing us the way, we probably will be frustrated. Because most often, Jesus leads from behind, the way Tom does. Like Tom, Jesus doesn't shout directions or laws or anything at us. He knows what we can do, and he wants to encourage us to go ahead and act on our own good judgment. Sometimes we may wish Jesus would be out in front and give us explicit signs about where to go. We'd rather not have to think for ourselves. We would prefer to have him making the decisions for us, so we might have someone to blame when things go wrong. But most of the time, Jesus is leading from behind, picking us up when we get into trouble, encouraging us to trust the one that we know. And while he may be behind us, we know that he is always there, like Tom, the good shepherd. Jesus knows also that while we're not stupid, we are as vulnerable as sheep. And sometimes we are just as oblivious to dangers surrounding us. Like the sheep, we do live in a wilderness. So many times we put ourselves in the way of danger, and yet Jesus leads us through it so that we are hardly aware of what is lurking around us. Most of the time we wander through life as though we were indestructible, when in truth we are not. We live sometimes as stupidly as sheep, overextending our resources without paying much attention to where we are going. And all the while, Jesus is behind us, moving us along, gently protecting us from ourselves, as well as from danger. Like the sheep and Tom, we may not often see Jesus' face, but we know his words of comfort and encouragement. Jesus leads from behind, and he invites us to do the same thing. And that is really the point, isn't it? We are the ones who have been loved, are loved by the Good Shepherd. We are cared for all day long. We've been watched over, provided for, and carried through rough times. Jesus has stayed with us through the valley of the shadow of death. We are the beloved, those for whom Jesus did lay down his life. And so Jesus invites us. We who have been so loved by him, he invites us to be shepherds to others, to love them as we have been loved, not just in word and speech, but also in truth and in action. We are called to go to them because they too are vulnerable. They too do silly things. They straggle along behind, wander through this world. Those who are hurt, those who need help. And we are called to be with them, to carry them, to encourage them along their way. We are called to be loving shepherds, leading from behind. Not to be in their face, or shout directions at them, or tell them where they have to go. Doubtless, if that's what we did, they would turn and run the other way. If we lead like Jesus does, nurturing and supporting, caring for others as God cares for us, if we work for safety and security, if we do not refuse to help, but support them using our best instincts, we honor and glorify the one who is our good shepherd. We honor the one who leads us beside still waters, who restores our soul. The Lord is our shepherd and calls us to shepherd others in order that they too may know the life that we know. Life abundant in green pastures because of Jesus' love for us. Thanks be to God. And may goodness and mercy follow us, pursue us all the days of our lives. And may we dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.